Titans fans? This is your boy, Benjamin Scott, formerly known as August West. And I would like to welcome everyone into the first kind of full-blooded, full-bore, completely new episode of Run Pass Opinion, the RPO podcast. We're so excited. The early hits and stuff on the site and the listening numbers that we had last time, even though we're not on iTunes yet, were absolutely phenomenal. So thank you to everybody that's been listening and reading and checking us out and sort of going on us with this journey so far. But there is so much stuff to talk about that we're not going to waste a whole lot of time with formalities here at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our first co-host. You know him. You love him. Brandon, you there, buddy?
I'm here. What's up, guys? RPO in the house.
Absolutely, man. It's so weird. It's so weird
I know.
doing an intro for a different name, using my actual name. And I'll go ahead and tease it up front and talk about it at the end of the show. But I'm actually going to be on MCM Radio as a guest next week. The podcast that I found like 7 years ago, and that is Jimmy and I were texting about it today, and I was like, that is the weirdest damn thing ever. So for all the people that have been sending me messages asking if it was like, if there was beef or there was some like dirty split, no, there's not. We're all good buddies. We're all rising tides raise all ships. Is kind of the philosophy that we're taking. And that being said, we'll go ahead and bring on the third co-host, the third chair, the other founding member of RPO, the man, the myth, the legend, the master of the memes, Mr. Matt Neely. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, especially since I accidentally trolled the entire fan base last night on Twitter. I thought that more people would understand that John Robinson's my father. He's how I live my life. I just want to be him. And then I send one tweet out about, we didn't do anything on day one. I'll start it, the Fire Robinson movement. And I think people just were waiting for it. I think they were waiting for it. So it was a great start to RPO by me trolling everyone. But yeah, we all love John Robinson. I saw a few people come out of the woodwork today, and they got burned to a crisp. Anyone that seriously is having a problem today with John Robinson is getting destroyed. Benjamin, I don't know what you saw, but I saw some of those people that decided to come out of the bushes.
Well, apparently you were living yesterday like it was today. And I don't know if that's just a life philosophy you have, like I'd always live today like it's going to be tomorrow. Because you were tweeting out Throwback Thursdays with those Vince Young videos.
I will say
videos. And it was on Wednesday. And then
I do understand. I understand that you have to do that ahead of time when you're just starting out. So you always want to be ahead of the curve. It's always about to get signed. So just beat them to the punch and then capture tomorrow's hashtags. Sorry that I'm better than other websites. Smarter than them.
They're lazy.
They're lazy. Yeah, they're not working hard enough.
Yeah. Also with your trolling tweet, you basically just forecasted what about 1/3 to maybe 3/8 of Titans fans were going to react to today, which we're recording this Thursday evening about 9:00. Free agency has officially kicked off. It's been going for, I think, 3 or 4 hours now at this point. It's 7:30 in the Central Time Zone. So about 3.5 hours now free agency's been open. And apparently because the Titans have not spent $90 million yet, John Robinson just needs to go ahead and get his bum on out of here. That's the word around town. That's what the word is on the internet. Matt, as our senior millennial correspondent, what do you think about that?
Well, first off, being 27 and a half does not, I don't know where that puts me on the millennial scale. So let's be careful with that.
Oh, you're a millennial because you're still counting as a half year. But no,
that puts you squarely in the center of it.
I'm just teasing with you, man. Yep. You're the youngest one on the show, so you're going to get those barbs for a little bit.
I think it's good for the team because like 2 years ago, this shit would be totally warranted. Like, yeah, they suck. They're idiots. We haven't spent any of the money. We signed Ken Wisenhunt and got a statue to be our quarterback, our backup quarterback. It's I even saw I saw someone say Mike Munchak went 9-7 in his first year. Why are we praising Robinson? So it's a good to be a very sarcastic Titans fan and someone that loves to troll. Blake Tucker himself is really identifying some of the best Titans trolls out here. So I would like to – he's been bringing me some joy when it comes to that. But I think the Titans today did what they're supposed to. We didn't trade the 5th overall pick, Marcus Mariota, and the rights to John Robinson and Amy Adams-Strunk as an owner to Tampa Bay or anything like that. We didn't do anything outside of our means, and I think people overreact. To me, it seems like we shored up our special teams, and that's something that was a huge problem for us last year. And Brandon, I think you definitely have brought that up last year, that special teams were an issue, and we addressed it, and we've got tomorrow and a lot of good free agents on the board.
We lost at least 2 games just to special teams. The Texans game, and there's another one off the top of my head. Now they won us the one with when we kicked the field goal to beat the Chiefs, but different. Our special teams coverage sucked. I mean, it was fucking awful. And they signed our best special teamer and Nate Palmer. Well, our best not named Byard. But Byard had a lot of roles going on. He was a personal protector on punt coverage and all that. But as far as
Byard's going to start. Byard's going to start. He can't keep playing a big special teams role.
We signed our best. We re-signed our best, Nate Palmer, and then we signed 2 of the best special teamers that were available. The safety, Brendan Trawick. I'm not sure the pronunciation. He's going to be probably the highest paid special teamer that's not a kicker or a punter at $3 million a year. But they just identified how important that it was for us to shore that up. And then we also signed Darren Bates, who had been, I think he'd been special teams captain. And just, I know it's not going to move the needle, but this is going to show up on Sundays when we don't end up having stupid penalties or hopefully go an entire season without a touchdown ran back on us. And Matt, you buried the lead a little bit. We re-signed Carl Klug, which we had been.
So our special teams was so bad last year. It was so bad.
Yeah.
It ruins the Carl Klug introduction because it was so bad. What you just said was on point. We didn't do a damn thing last year on special teams at all. And so please give Carl Klug the praise he deserves.
Oh, he's a fan favorite. He's just the blue collar. Say it, August. Kind of lunch pail guy. Gym rat, maybe?
No, he is not. He is white, but he is not one of these blue-collar, gym rat, lunch pail.
He's got short arms. He's got T-Rex arms.
Coach on the field kind of guy. He is, yes, he doesn't have – he's a little bit of a bad body dude, but he is very athletic. He can play inside and outside. He's too fast for guys on the inside. He's got too much power for guys on the outside. What he is not is a guy who can play 80% of snaps. You know, he gets used situationally. He's a pass rusher on nickel and dime packages. You know, he is the perfect rotational defensive lineman, and that's why I think this deal is this will be like his 7th year or something with the Titans. If I'm not mistaken, I think he came in like 2010 or so, and has basically been living off a 1- and 2-year contract almost his entire time. I mean, the guy, if they could accurately, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about Pro Football Focus, but if they could, let me calm down a second. If they could accurately track pressures and the ability for a guy to make a quarterback step off his spot into a sack, Carl Klug and Derek Morgan would be near the top of the league in that. And they're both guys who don't finish all the time necessarily, but they disrupt plays and they do things that are very unexpected. Carl Klug is very good at stunts, very good at twists. You know, he's not a guy that's ever going to make a Pro Bowl, but it excites me to no end that they brought him back in this rotation because they recognize the role that he can play here and how much he likes playing for this team, clearly.
Yeah, the guy's been on the team for 6 years, and he's missed 2 games. So he's not a full-time player. He's not going to be the one that makes a Pro Bowl, like you said. But Carl Klug is the embodiment of the fan base.
But dude, you had
man to be a hero. It's this guy, and we all wanted him back, and we all thought we'd lose him. We did lose him.
You have to have those guys who know their role, who can contribute in a very specific situation, and not a guy that you're hoping steps up and contributes in that situation. And these special team guys that we signed, guys like Klug, are a very big part of that.
Well, and look at it this way. You remember last year about a little later than this time, but just out of nowhere, base god J-Rob gave Delaney Walker a raise. Just like, fuck it, here's a couple more million because you play football the way we want to play football. Here's Carl Klug, our man. He gets hurt in a contract year. That's the 2 games he missed. He was done for the season. They put him on IR. And, it's not a huge contract, but J-Rob took care of him. And in a way that's got to be good for the locker room when the guys can see, you know what, if you play hard for us every game, day in, day out, and bust your ass, then you're going to get taken care of. As opposed to the Jaguars, where they just re-sign new guys. They only reward free agents. We're actually kind of taking care of our own a little bit, even on a small scale. And Matt, I'm looking at Klug's stats here, and if you want to kind of keep with your theme, his birthday is the 31st. So if you want to go ahead and wish him a happy birthday early.
I think that would be too early.
What? You're lazy. He's taking it off. Lazy millennials, Benjamin.
It's honestly, I wish I would have known that it was his birthday yesterday before he got his contract, because then that's when you make the headlines before they happen, so you can beat out some of the more larger size fish. That's what we want to be here at RP. We want to just be with some alternative fact. So Ben's not the biggest fan of that, but yeah, the Jaguars once again every year they're adding some pieces. They're building their defense. It's so good to hear that they're back. They never left really, because this time last year they were drafting Jalen Ramsey. Now their defense, their secondary is set. But here's some great stats here. In the NFL, they rank number 1 in guaranteed money from 2020 to 2016. They rank number 1 in most money spent with $660 million. That's more than Bud Adams could have ever fucking dreamed to have spent on a team when he was alive. And their win percentage is dead last. So congratulations, Jag fans. You cucked yourself again if you got excited about this, because we all know what's going to happen. I know that not anything negative about the Jags. We saw how the season ended. But no,
it's a new year.
It's a new year. It's the same theme. Ben, let them know what you think, because we all know the Jags just completely cocked themselves again this season.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. I thought their idea to retain Doug Marrone as the head coach was not a good one. I don't think that's really the right way for them to go. However, despite the fact they've lost so much, I think Shad Khan has shown most of the traits you would really value in an owner. He has a lot of money. He wants to get people to come out to the games. He kind of stays out of the way of his front office and of his coaching staff, generally in most situations. And then he brought in Tom Coughlin, who is sort of like a Phil Jackson, Magic Johnson, to make an NBA comparison, an established guy who knows the front office and the coaching aspect of being in the NFL. As long as Tom Coughlin doesn't have designs on becoming the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they have assembled a lot of talent.
2 years.
Their biggest problem has been their biggest problem is they can't get it to all come together. Okay, they have now. Look, Dante Fowler is probably never going to be worth that big. Miles Jack, I don't know if he's ever going to be worth that big. Jalen Ramsey is going to be a beast. They got some wide receivers. The addition of Calais Campbell is really good. AJ Bouye is almost a perfect Jaguar signing, because nobody wants to admit the fact that he's really a one-year wonder who has consistently played on one of the best defenses in the NFL. He will never, in the rest of his career, doesn't matter where he goes, get the protection as a cornerback out of the front seven and the pass rush that he got in Houston. So I don't really see how you could think he's ever going to be better than he was in Houston. And he was not worth the amount of money, especially the $26 million guaranteed that reportedly he's getting from Jacksonville. So I am 100% behind the Titans not signing him. Calais Campbell, I would have really liked to see him here. I think he would have fit a really good role. But, he basically said that it came down to, look, he said that it was because Tom Coughlin's a winner and he likes what he's doing. I'm sure it also helped that Florida does not have a state income tax.
It's his new head coach.
We don't have a state income tax, but, all things being equal, they're making the right kind of personnel moves. It's just their culture must be screwed up because they can never get the pieces to come together. Brandon?
There's still, they never pay their guys. People go to Jacksonville to get paid.
They don't re-sign anybody.
Exactly. And you know what I like most about them signing? Well, I like two things about them signing Campbell. He's a good player, but they paid him like he's 25 years old instead of, I think
30.
he's 30.
He's 30, and he's only had 2 good years as a pass rusher. Outside of that, he's been a run stuffer, period.
But this is how I look at it. They signed him, paid him $80-some million, I think. They paid Malik Jackson $90 million last year. I don't see any way they draft Jonathan Allen. That's who I was worried about them getting. I think those signings just increases our chance of having a shot at drafting him if they want. I think what they're going to be in is all in on Leonard Fournette because they haven't signed any offensive guys that I can think of right now. They've doubled down on defense, so I don't see them drafting defense with that top pick. So
yeah, and if Tom Coughlin's running your front office, you're going to have a running back that weighs over 230 pounds and that's going to carry the ball 25 times.
They should have been signing an offensive line. That was their biggest thing. But what it says when we have to keep this in perspective, when a free agent signs with the team, 99.9% of the time, that team offered them more money. It really does come down to that.
Yep.
If you're the team that gets all the free agents, then you went past what most other teams were willing. You overvalued some of those guys, if not all of them. They do it every year. Like, Matt, I liked your point. For 5 years running, they've spent the most money, and their win percentage in those 5 years is worse than the NFL. So it doesn't correlate. If you needed a piece or two, which is what I was hoping, and I don't think any of us realistically thought we were going to get several of the top free agents, but we were hoping maybe for Hightower, which is still a chance as of us recording this, or Don Terry Poe or something. I still think we got a shot at one of them.
Okay, that's the thing. And like Matt, you were hitting on earlier, and we were kind of talking about the idea that the Titans have set out free agency and that they're not really being as active as they should be is absolutely ludicrous, because if you look at talent on the field and availability as far as free agents, the top 10 guys, only like 3 of them are signed. You still have Logan Ryans and Terry Poe, Dante Hightower. I mean, a lot of the guys that we were really on the mix for. I don't think we're on the mix for many of these free agent, wide receivers, or really many of the cornerbacks outside of 1 or 2 guys. Most of the moves that teams made today were around the margins. So there's no reason to be disappointed yet. If some of those guys that we've been writing about and talking about over the past few weeks were already off the board, that would be one thing. But that's not the case. I mean, we could wait. But if we were to record this show tomorrow, there's a chance that the Titans could have spent $50, $60 million in free agency on 2 or 3 guys, because those kind of guys are still out there.
Yeah, I think that what it shows is John Robinson's belief in, and maybe even Amy Adams-Strunk. I don't know who to credit, and I don't think it's wise for any of us to credit anyone, but signs point to John Robinson once again showing that the draft is where you build your team, and that's their belief, and that's what they're going to stick with. So if they don't go out and trade for Logan Ryan or Stephon Gilmore, that means they think they have a better shot at the corner position. And after all the shit with over the couple years, who are we to think that he doesn't know what he's talking about after what he did in 1 year? And honestly, Ben, I really disagree with you completely about the Jaguars. They have shown to do the same thing year in and year out. They just said they're going to double down on Blake Bortles. You watch Blake Bortles every week. I know you watch a lot of Blake Bortles. Who in the hell thinks that's a good idea? What they're doing is stupid.
People that only watch the last half of the third quarter and then the fourth quarter when they're out,
or that have him in daily fantasy when they're playing a West Coast game. It's so ludicrous to think that they are doing anything right. They signed free agents. Julius Thomas, he died down in Jacksonville. Shit, now who's he playing for? I think he just got traded today.
Dolphins for Albert. They got the tackle.
Yeah, they got tackle, but. Okay,
but
the best part of that,
they didn't address anything they needed. All they did was they built a fake secondary and they get on ESPN. And we have a franchise quarterback, a Pro Bowl running back, and to me, the best receiver in this free agent class, Terrell Pryor, is going to visit Washington when their GM is not even been in the building for a month. So the whole is crazy. We're gonna get who we need, and we're gonna trust John Robinson to make sure that we're set for next year, because they're gonna win this. They're gonna win this division clearly because someone got a tattoo of it.
Well, the tattoo, that was great. So right before we started recording, I got an update where the Washington GM has been fired. There's a big power play going on with him, and
so Terrell Pryor is still available.
Well, yeah.
Well, that was the only news. So we're good.
Washington is looking at trading away their quarterback, and they've already let Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson go. They're going to have like Colt McCoy and us three as the centerpieces of that offense, and then a tight end who missed a bunch of games with concussions, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Kyrie Robinson's available now, the running back that just lands at every.
I'm waiting for Vince to make an appearance.
Hey, Vince already got signed up in Canada.
Yeah, and I knew that 2 days before.
Shout out Saskatchewan.
Yeah, but Canadian contracts are void this side of the border, so he doesn't have to honor that if the Redskins want to pay him, or maybe the Texans. How funny would that be?
Bring him home to our nation's capital.
I'd rather re-sign Rusty than Vince Young at this point.
Oh God! No.
Okay. Other thing we haven't hit on yet, we kind of alluded to it, Dante Hightower. A guy that, in all honesty, I thought made so much sense for us and that I was so excited about that I really didn't even talk about him that much, because I've been a Titans fan long enough to know that if I really get on board for something, it's just not going to happen. For those of you who don't know, Dante Hightower, stud linebacker at Alabama, I think a 2-time All-American, a high draft pick for the New England Patriots, has a Super Bowl ring or two because of them, and is from Lewisburg, Tennessee, was in Nashville yesterday, still has not signed a contract. And while several teams are interested, I'm really starting to get the vibe that we sign him. And if we sign Dante Hightower to run the middle of that linebacking group, if you upgrade from Wesley Woodyard to Dante Hightower, I mean, you have already jumped up 3 or 4 spots in, DVOA rankings on defense just with that move alone. Matt, what do you think?
I think that there's no doubt in my mind you just lied, because we all wanted Randy Moss to come here, and that was the one thing we all hoped for, and it came true, and then he sucked ass. So I'm going to call you out on that. But,
easy now.
I think we all wanted Randy Moss, right?
Those were days,
okay? Okay. I still believe in Avery Williamson as the one that can be the guy that's our middle linebacker, but I'm actually grown kind of tired of the rumors. I think it's just the Patriots know how to work the media. Saints are doing the same thing with Cooks. I'm really kind of like seeing through all of this because we're not making any action on it, and now we have some trust in our GM. So Hightower is a guy I wanted going into free agency. I think we should pay him, but not overpay him like the Jags do for everyone. Brandon, I don't know how you feel. He's a local guy. You're the one that had the scoop on his Snapchat, which you call me the millennial, so you got it. But like, I also want to know, since Ben did not confirm this earlier, you wanted Randy Moss to come here so that we all did have one thing that came true.
Yeah, I did.
How do you feel about him?
It was
Hightower going forward.
Oh, I would love to have him. I think he's fantastic. But what we do now is our GM or Amy or both, or I'm sure they work. And let's give the coaching staff some credit in this too. It seems like everybody has worked as a cohesive unit, but we have a value on these players. And if the contract exceeds that number, then we say, okay, good luck. We've been in play. We've identified the areas of weakness and the free agents that we know can help us. And the golden ticket winners. There's always 4 or 5 each free agency of the guys that end up with $70, $80 million contracts. Just like last year, we identified the positions that we need to get better at. And this year we were actually in play with some of these ones, like Alshon Jeffrey. We'd inquired about him. I don't know how much we can take from what the media says, but when they say Titans have shown interest, I think there's probably some credibility there. But with AJ Boye and all that, once they got to the point where it's like, nope, he's going to get paid like he's Patrick Peterson or Richard Sherman, I think we're out long before that, to be honest with you. I think they have a hard number on what they're willing to pay. And I think it's the same with Hightower.
The other thing to keep in mind, anytime you're excited about, say, a guy who's coming off an injury or a guy who's coming off a down year, it's kind of a veteran where he's like a high upside, and you're like, oh, man, like Alshon Jeffrey's done some really good stuff. He's shown a lot of flashes coming on. When that dude ends up signing a 1-year contract on day one of free agency, that never works out. If he was worth it, if he was good, if he was healthy, if he passed his medicals properly, if everything was good, he would get a 3 or 4 year contract at least. Alshon Jeffrey signed a 1 year, like,
look who paid him
contract
with the Eagles.
With the Eagles, every time they always overpay. They do dumb shit all the time.
The team that gave us a semi decent return at least for Dorian Beckham, and their fans hate him now.
They gave us DeMarco Murray for nothing.
Yeah, they gave us DeMarco Murray for a
Thank you for our all-pro running back. So nice to deal with you every year.
Yeah, just because they hated Chip Kelly so much, they traded us DeMarco Murray. If that makes sense to you, then whatever, that's fine. You have to look at some of the deals these guys sign are indicative of what their market actually is, and a lot of times the guys who sign, even though we have this legal tampering period, the guys who signed right away generally are the most desperate, because the whole point of that legal tampering period is to give you the time to take multiple offers, which creates a bidding war, which lets you better define your market. So when you know how much money you're actually worth out on the market and you've got several teams vying for you, you can look at things like, what city am I going to live in? What's the coaching staff like? What's the scheme like?
Who's the quarterback?
Who's the quarterback?
Except for Kenny Britt. He doesn't look at that stuff. Kenny Britt doesn't give a shit who the quarterback is.
No, he just signs with the Browns.
And he's an idiot.
I was going to say earlier, how did Jacksonville not sign Kenny Britt to create the greatest, absolute all-time garbage team combination of Blake Bortles and Kenny Britt? Those guys would combine for like 1 touchdown, 5 completions on 20 attempts over the course of the first half of a game. And then once it was a blowout, they would be, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns all the way through and lose every single game.
It's a weird time.
The Jags.
Fuck them. Seriously, like they do dumb shit. Kenny Britt, like he would
Hang on. Let's back off the Jags because we're about to tee off on the Texans here in just a minute. But before we do that, we have to talk about we have to talk about the biggest news that came out that the Titans might have signed. It's not official yet, but Jonathan Cyprien, the strong safety from Jacksonville. I think this is going to be his 4th year in the league. He's 26 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Played at Florida International. Is a big physical thumper, a guy in the box. He really reminds me, for old school Titans fans. I mean, Matt, I don't know, you might have been in diapers when this dude played, but Tank Williams. You know, a guy who, back when Michael Griffin was real young, and I think Lamont Thompson was one of the guys that played with him, played center field. And Tank was the dude who came down into the box. He could play linebacker in nickel situations. He could play, that safety over the middle and just absolutely decapitate all of your wide receivers. I love this signing. I love the fact that he was kind of an under the radar free agency guy. And all honesty, if I didn't have a wife, a kid, and a great job and all this other stuff I got to focus my time to, he's someone I would have dug up and spotted as a free agent. But he wasn't on a lot of those lists that you just kind of Google and look around at. I think Dick LeBeau is going to make an absolute star out of this guy. I think it might signal the end of Denoris Cerese's time, the more that you look at it. But, it's not a huge quarterback signing, but I think it takes us completely out of the mix for Jamal Adams, Malik Hooker, some of those really big safety guys that are in the draft. I guess we'll kick off with Brandon. What did you think of this signing, as long as everything goes through?
Kind of lukewarm about it. I loved Cyprien in college and his college tape coming out, and then I thought that he's not been very good in Jacksonville. But there's been a lot of people who haven't been very good in Jacksonville. So if he can clean that Jaguar stank off him, then I think he can be a reclamation project. But I think he's more depth. I don't think this deters us from taking a safety in the draft if the right one is there. I think our bigger obstacle with drafting safety at 5 is that contract is going to be tip-top safety money. Right, the 5th pick's going to get $6-7 million a year. That's like what Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas made. So I think there's going to be an issue with them taking that position to give them that contract. But I think Jamal Adams is worth it. I don't think Cyprien's going to keep us from drafting them if that's who they want there. But I think that he is the end of Damian Stafford. I think he's that role. And then maybe with the chance, if he's good enough in all the camps and impressive enough to maybe be the opening day starter. But I think he's an improved Stafford.
We'd like to go kind of the way you were going, Brandon. I think that in no way does this mean Jamal Adams is not going to get drafted by the Titans. I think this is another instance where they try to breed competition through players that are okay.
Wrong.
But I think that this is going to be an instance where they breed competition on this team. And if you have him and Adams and they are fighting for any type of position, regardless, Kevin Byard is free to play center field. And Tank Williams, I took a picture of a grown homeless man wearing a Tank Williams jersey a year and a half ago, and I said, I bet no one remembers this guy. And I put it on Twitter. So I do love Tank Williams, even though I also hated him for a minute there. But it was pretty dope that his name said Tank Williams on the back of his jersey.
Full name, yeah.
Regardless, yeah. I don't think that this puts Jamal Adams out of the mix at all. I think that this signing is kind of, it's a depth move, and I don't think that was a big signing for us when it comes in terms of like our biggest possible signings. I think that this is more of a depth move. I don't think this means the end of Stafford. I actually like Stafford more than I like Cersei. Going forward. Now I think LeBeau likes Stafford like Cersei, and you're about to pretty much take a shit on me, Ben, so go ahead and do it.
No. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I don't blame you for the fact that you don't know what and who Jonathan Cyprien is. I understand even Titans fans, even though we see him twice a year,
he's Michael
a lot
Griffin.
of the Jaguar games are pretty hard to watch. This dude is 6'1.5", 225 pounds. I think is his typical playing weight. There are linebackers in the league that weigh that much. Okay, he can come down in the box. He can be the physical guy. He can be underneath. And you know what they didn't use him in? Because Gus Bradley came from Seattle. He runs that Pete Carroll defense. It's basically a modified Tampa 2. They don't do a whole lot of exotic stuff with their DBs. Guess who does a lot of exotic stuff with their motherfucking Dick LeBeau? You are going to see Searcy get more sacks, or Cyprian, sorry, get more sacks over the course of this season than some of our starting defensive linemen and linebackers. I will absolutely promise you that. This is going to be like, I'm not saying he's as good as, but it's going to be, the way everybody talks about their hybrid dude, their honey badger, their, Jabril Preppers gets talked about in that way.
No, that's Kevin Byard. That's our honey badger.
No, Byard's too small. Byard is a center fielder. He is much better ball hawking. He is much better ball hawking deep. He can't come down and get, if a guard comes up and tries to tag Kevin Byard, he's going to get knocked on the floor. Cyprian can shed that guy, can at least hold him up for a little bit. You're going to see him used all over the place. I'm not saying that he's going to have a specific defined role, but I promise you, I will isolate this clip right now. By week 6 in this season, if he's healthy, Titans fans are going to be singing the praises of this Jonathan Cyprian signing and the fact that we didn't pay that much for him. It might be my favorite. It might be my favorite overall value signing since Delaney Walker.
Okay. So we also last season did at one point praise LaShawn Sims for just existing. So regardless,
I didn't.
I did because he
intercepted Alex Smith in the end zone.
He sure
won a game.
Motherfucking did. He sure did. And guess what? I don't believe in any of this. This is nonsense. I think this is a depth signing. What he looks like on paper is Michael Griffin, a guy that cannot cover a locked door.
No, he's the anti-Michael Griffin.
Oh, no, he's not. He can't cover
Michael Griffin
locked door with a shotgun, and all he can do is stop the run. So make tackles. If he comes in and makes tackles at the line,
tackle my toddler.
No, he couldn't. And you know what? We both could tackle better than Michael Griffin could, and I swear to God, I will make it the end of Michael Griffin's life if he ever comes around this team, because I hate that guy. But what I'm saying is, if this guy can't make tackles at the line of scrimmage, his depth, that's what he's here for. That's the guy that's going to shut down the run on that side. Byard is the stud going forward, but he is going to be a depth player. He is not the guy we need starting every week. He can fix his tackles, the line of scrimmage. If he can guard some tight ends every once in a while, that's where he fits in. That's where I believe this is a depth play. And I hate Michael Griffin. You guys know that. Don't bring him up again. Sorry, Ben. I hate him. I hate Michael Griffin. But I think this guy reminds me of him. So, and he's got dreads. So my bad.
Brandon knows me and Michael Griffin.
Yeah,
the whole story.
He's going to be our new Damian Stafford. That's Cyprian. We fight all the time.
I spent 6 years trashing Michael Griffin
on
this
podcast.
I tweeted at him 2 years ago in the middle of a game that Carl Klug would make a better safety than he would. And he tweeted back at me, "I'll bring that up with Coach in the film room."
Yeah.
He tweeted me back too. My friend texted me today and he said, "Cyprian is Michael Griffin. You're about to be pissed." And I knew at the moment I got the text, that guy knew. Exactly. We've been through the same thing with Michael Griffin. That's my fear. We're making way too much over just a regular signing for me, and I think that this is a weird time to be a Titans fan, but and also a hilarious time to be a Titans.
Okay, let's all come together and talk about the Texans. Brandon, you
all right.
I know you'll be off on this.
So Houston traded Brock Osweiler today, and future, what was it? Third round. I'll have to look now. What was it, Benjamin? I know that
they traded a second round pick and Brock Osweiler and got back a fourth rounder, and I think their second rounder that went to the Browns is for next year.
So pretty much the process has started, right? They took on they got a second round pick to take on a shitty contract, and now they'll either cut Osweiler or maybe try to trade him. I did read where they were willing to keep over half of Osweiler's salary for anybody that would trade for him. So they might get the second to take him and then maybe trade him away for like a seventh or something and keep part of his contract on the books to do it. So the Browns were super smart in it. They're not going to get anywhere near the salary cap. And if they cut him, they'd actually, just help themselves with the whole salary cap floor that you have to hit, even though I think that's becoming a joke since it's on a rolling 5-year thing. But
man, you just saw my take.
I did kind of stereotype that. That's what's rattling around in my head.
Right from Cooked him right in front of all of us.
Okay, so let me explain the full ramifications of this for everybody, because we were talking about this before the show, and
that's why we can only talk for one hour of the week. It's the only reason why.
I know Brandon stole that take because he didn't even say it right. Okay,
see,
that's how I know. Okay, I love you, Brandon.
I know.
The deal with this is the CBA that was signed last time around has a ceiling to the salary cap, and it has, Brandon, the word you were looking for is a floor, a minimum amount of money that you have to spend. Okay, a minimum amount of money that you have to spend, or else you will have to redistribute that money to. I can't remember in the NFL if it's the rest of the league or if it's the rest of your roster. In the NBA, it's the rest of your roster. So basically, there's a
roster.
Yeah, there's a minimum amount of money that you have to spend. The Browns are going to be way under that because guess what? They don't have anybody who deserves money on their roster. So basically what happened, and this is the smartest trade, I swear to God, I've seen in the NFL pretty much ever. So
no, we got DeMarco Murray.
No, I know. No, but that's one team screwing another team. This is a shell game that. Okay, hang on. I'm about to break this all down. So basically, the way this works out is the Houston Texans know they signed a horrific contract with Brock Osweiler, that he's not going to be a good quarterback. Nobody on that team likes him. Nobody on that team believes in him. They are going to be worse just by having him around. So they convince themselves this is addition by subtraction. They are also the Bobo franchise in the state of Texas. And the Oilers were when they were there too. They always want to be the Cowboys. Matt, I'll give you credit. You put the perfect vocabulary to this when we were talking about it before the show. So they clearly want to go after Tony Romo. They don't have the cap space. Why? Because they're assigning all this cap space to Brock Osweiler in that ludicrous contract they gave a dude who's thrown like 30 footballs since he was in high school. So they get on the phone with the Cleveland Browns, who have Paul DePodesta, the guy from Jonah Hill from Moneyball, and they have Sashi Brown, who's a guy, I think, with a Wall Street background, like a non-NFL background. So they address this trade in a very non-NFL traditional way, basically saying, look, we have money to burn. Nobody wants checks from us because they don't want to come play here. So we'll take that giant, awful contract you got, but you're going to have to give us a second-round pick. And, yeah, we'll give you like a fourth-round pick back. And they convinced Houston to do that. Houston is going to eat $9 million on this year's salary cap. I think $7 or $8 million on next year's salary cap. Give up a second-round pick just to get rid of a dude so that they clear up the cap space that hopefully they can sign Tony Romo, who would be it would be absurd if he doesn't go to Denver with the amount of talent that they have on that team as opposed to the amount of talent that they have in Houston. If Tony Romo ends up in Denver, this is going to be one of the most laughable trades ever, because any statistician, any advanced metrics guy, any smart person who has done the statistical studies will tell you that the most valuable picks in the NFL are 15th in the first round through probably 20 or 30 in the third round. They paid $6 million for one of the most valuable picks in the NFL. And they're going to maybe get a little bit more out of Brock or just cut him and spend money they were going to have to spend anyway, the Browns were, because they weren't going to be able to hit the salary cap floor. Tell me that Jimmy Haslam didn't buy everybody a big-ass bottle of champagne once that deal went through.
He certainly shouldn't buy anyone champagne because he's an idiot to begin with. But today, it looks like Jonah Hill just won them a trade against one of the dumbest franchises I've ever come across in my entire life. The Texans think they can just trade with Brock Osweiler for as Bomani Jones. He just put it perfectly. They set Brock Osweiler outside with a second-round pick in his pocket and said, "Go find your home."
Dude, I love Bomani Jones.
Yeah, and he said it. That was so good.
And how funny is it if he doesn't make the freaking Browns? If he can't be a quarterback on the Browns roster, then he's got to be done. I mean, we're gonna have to put him on suicide watch if the Browns.
Can we just, guys? I think we're sitting in a moment of greatness. We are sitting with the Hawaiian Christ as our leader, John Robinson as our general manager and protector, and Mike Malarkey as the person that will take us there somehow. And we've got the owner of the Colts addicted to pills and making terrible decisions. Hang on. This point has to be made. The Texans management signing Brock Osweiler to the biggest quarterback contract in the history of the NFL, trading him a year later, getting zero in return, and their goal is to trade him. And their goal is to try and sign Tony Romo. Meanwhile, the Jaguars spend 5 years spending more money than any team in the NFL and having the worst results possible, while we sit here in the middle of purgatory, and now we are going to be taken to the promised land while these other teams jack each other off. It is a disgrace to football what this division has done, and we have got to do it this year. That's all I'm going to say. Like, holy shit, what the fuck is everyone doing? What are they doing? John Robinson better do this because, my God.
They paid a second-round pick. Think about Randy Moss got traded to the Patriots for a fourth-round pick. They traded a second-round pick just to get rid of a contract. You would have paid only a couple million more by just cutting him. Nobody does this in the NFL. And the fact that the Browns were able to swing this makes them maybe my second favorite football team of all time. As long as they never re-sign Johnny Football. I like Hugh Jackson. I love the fact that they went Moneyball with their front office. This is absolutely like kind of disruptive thinking, but it proves that NFL owners and NFL front office guys are so emotional and stupid most of the time. Even if they sign Tony Romo, they have the 1 year right to a guy
thing I've ever heard in my life.
40 and always gets hurt. Always
gets hurt. So stupid. He's won 2 playoff games in his career. He's got his own tab on ESPN. 2 playoff games, 6 back surgeries. What in the Texans, who just traded away the worst quarterback contract ever, are in the front running to trade nothing for it. Brandon, please straighten this out for me, because I feel like I'm out here in crazy town.
No, that's pretty much where we live now. Pretty much, if they do land Romo, which I don't even know I think it's just as likely, if not more likely, he ends up in Denver. But if the Texans get Romo, it's going to be a good October for him, and then he's going to get hurt, and then their season's going to be back in the shitter because it'll be Tom Savage or whoever else they have Brandon, on there backing them up.
Can I say one more thing? I forgot to address this. We talked a lot. Ben, you talked a lot about the talent they had in Denver, and all I saw was mouth, by the way, from their secondary last year. So I don't want to give them any credit for talent they may or may not have in their secondary.
And they lost a really good offensive-minded coach, and they lost the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, there is an argument to be made that for 1 year, Houston is a better situation than Denver is. But even if they sign him, the people in the PR department for the Houston Texans have to be pulling their hair out because and also because Denver is bidding for him, they're going to have to trade for Romo. They're not going to be able to just sign him. They're going to have to give up yet more assets to get him. God,
and put him.
I want to give two of the worst people on the face of the earth, Jimmy Haslam and Jerry Jones. Yeah, Jerry Jones. I want to give them both a kiss.
This show from now on. It's just Jimmy Jones.
Yeah, Jimmy Johns and Jimmy Haslam.
Jimmy Johns from now on. Jimmy Johns and Jimmy Haslam. I hate every other team in this division. They can all go suck it.
Well, look at it this way. When they put Romo behind the Houston offensive line that played like shit because we signed their center, and then all of a sudden we ended up with a top 5 offensive line. And then as much as I got nothing against Tony Romo, but we're going to see him laying, crying on the grass again like we have.
Because Brian Arakpo and Jarrell Casey are about to destroy them. It's just so, God.
You know who's going to get him? Jonathan Cyprian's going to blow his ass up.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. I can't. All right.
Jonathan Cyprian's going to break his leg, and then they're going to cut off his legs and strap him to the back of J.J. Watt for the rest of the season. And J.J. Watt's going to take the snaps. J.J. Watt's going to take the snaps, and Tony Romo will throw them.
It's going to be the other teams. It's going to be Eric Walden's $20 million contract that the Colts give him. Oh, God, this is one of the best off seasons I can remember, I think.
The only person laughing harder after the first day of free agency than us is Brian Hoyer. I mean, he has got to look back on that franchise and be like, "Oh, you guys thought this was my fault, for real."
Brian Hoyer can't laugh. He's been on 8 different teams. Actually, you know what? I have several heroes. Hey, I have several heroes in the NFL, and they all are Kevin Kolb, Matt Castle. That whole group. Matt
Flynn.
Hey, Matt Castle.
Right.
What else getting a contract day one?
God, he did that off of one game, didn't he? One game this year. He was sucked last year. But
against the fucking Texans.
Against the Texans.
He threw 150 yards and we won.
He sure did. And those guys that go get those big contracts, they're my heroes. So I take it what I originally said back. Brian Hoyer falls in line. And I think we're going to see a lot more. God, only if Mettenberger could have been that guy. Could have been that
R.I.P. Messiah.
Take a nap.
Oh, dude, he didn't even last a full season in San Diego with Ken Wisenhunt.
No, he and the opinions on him are going to be gone about as fast as the anti-John Robinson opinions from the last few days.
I mean, I get sometimes a quarterback can't take that punch in the face that is being in the NFL, but if that punch in the face comes at kickers in Franklin, then you should never be in the NFL, period.
Well, look at it this way. He went to the Steelers after San Diego cut him, and the Steelers just chose to re-sign Landry Jones.
Well, you know why?
Throw about 20 passes in the dirt one preseason.
You know why he went to the Steelers? Because the only good game he ever had was that Monday Night Football game in Pittsburgh when he almost broke the record for like rookie passing yards on Monday Night Football when the weather was low,
but he opened the game with the pick. He did that for a month. First pass.
That's every game. Every game. He's never played a game without throwing an interception.
I hope he goes to an NFC team and does well. I like Mettenberger.
No. He got punched in the face at a bar called Losers. That's it. Please get away from our team.
Yeah, was it Losers or Kickers? I guess it was Losers.
It was Losers.
Can
confirm.
Tennessee.
Yep. Or Thompson Square, whatever the shit they call it now.
All right, guys.
Didn't the guy say roll tide?
He said roll tide, bitch, and punched him in the face.
Yeah.
Yep. Beautiful.
But he ran out. Hey, and remember, Lawan was there, and Lawan didn't bite him in the throat or anything. That was when Lawan turned a corner into being an adult.
That's right. Actually, that is the point. I think we can all look back to
that guy's name, Derrick Henry. Moving on.
Oh,
okay.
Dear.
And where'd Dante Hightower go to college?
Doesn't matter because it's going to be a Titan tomorrow.
Roll Tide, bitch. See, it's all coming full circle.
This is want to make it more for full circle. My cousin, head baseball coach at the University of Alabama, Greg Goff. Shout out. See you in Nashville.
Sweet. Tell him.
Y'all didn't even know that. A humble brag.
Oh God.
Yeah, I guess
you
I could
didn't have
talk
shit
about
to
it.
do with it.
He has definitely coached me up until grade, I think probably 9 or 10, until I decided to get fat.
All right, so to wrap up this episode, as part of the RPO podcast, we are going to do a final segment called Run With It or Pass On It. We pass around a couple of hot takes, quick questions, lightning round sort of thing, and you guys going to run with it or do you want to pass on it? Number one, Brandon and Matt, do you guys think that John Robinson made a mistake not having a big splash in the first 6 hours of free agency? Brandon, go first.
I'm passing on that take. I don't think he's made a mistake at all. It'd have been nice to get one of the guys that got signed, but not at the price they got signed with. So I'm passing on it. Matt?
I would love to pass on this because anyone that thinks that John Robinson can make a mistake is an idiot, in my opinion.
Right on. Number two for me. Are the Titans going to spend more than $8 million in the next year or two in free agency for a wide receiver that they sign during this free agency period? Matt, you go first.
Yes, they are. I believe they're going to eventually pull the trigger on the Brandon Cooks trade. I think the Logan Ryan stuff is nonsense, and I think the Titans are going to end up trading that number 18 pick for the proven wide receiver in Brandon Cooks that was in a very nice offense. That's also 1 year older than Corey Davis or Mike Williams. That would mean they are going to miss out on the Mike Williams and Corey Davis train. But I do also think they will be involved in more trades that will involve O.J. Howard. Will like to pass that to Brandon after I obviously just accepted that, whatever that was. We're new to this.
Run with it. You're going to run with it.
I ran the shit out of that one, buddy.
I'm passing on it. I don't think there's a wide receiver left that's gonna get $8 million a year out of us. Maybe total contract, but no, I don't think it's gonna happen. Pass.
Okay, Brandon, the option's in your court.
We signed Don Terry Poe, but we have to pay him more than Jarrell Casey.
I would definitely pass that.
Benjamin?
Oh, I'd run with that all day. He's 3 years younger, I think, than Jarrell Casey at this point. Been to just as many Pro Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. That doesn't mean I wouldn't maybe renegotiate Jarrell Casey if he has an issue with it. But, yeah, I'm going to run with that. I'd pay a lot of money for Terry Poe. But, I mean, look, man, people that listen to MCM Radio for all them years, they know how much I love athletic 350-pounders.
All right, and my next one, I'll stay with you, Benjamin, is do you think that we have the 18th overall pick on the table for the Saints to take at any time for Brandon Cooks?
Nope. I think they have a maybe next year first rounder and maybe this year one of those third rounders. I think that's about the most they're going to put on the table. And then, tell the like Adam Schefter tweeted out, tell the Saints, hey, if you get a better deal you like more, take it. If not, you can get it, right before the draft starts.
Matt?
I think that, like I expressed earlier, that they will end up that was kind of my hot take, that they might end up trading that pick away for Cooks in the end and trying to – I think there's a lot of options, especially with the Browns falling the shit Texans. That was nice. because they seem to be a trade partner we could agree with. So I think it's possible. I'll run with that one, but I also could pass it. I'll tell you that much.
I take that.
That's
back.
the options.
That's the option.
And I'll give you the option at the end of the day. All right, okay.
I will change mine. It's not a first rounder next year. It's a pick swap this year. We take their second rounder. They get our second first rounder. And then maybe we throw in that last third round pick. Because it's basically a fourth round pick.
It sounds like I should be inspiring ideas inside the building as well.
After your safety take, no. But
I still think my safety take's right. Okay. Here we go. All right. So since I'm mad at Ben now because he didn't like my safety take, I'm going to start with you, Brandon. Martellus Bennett. Shift him $10 million a year to terrorize the Jaguars' brand new shitty secondary.
I will other that and say if we could get him for like 2 years, $17 million, I'd be in for that. Something
so
close.
8.5. 8.5 is
8.5.
9, but you wouldn't pay the 9.
Hey, you said 10, damn it, and I got
okay.
I'm learning at the knee of John Robinson. If you're worth $8.5 million to me, motherfucker, you ain't getting 8.6.
Ben?
Yes. I would pay him that money to come in, have a good compliment. And if they like Jason Morrow, he'd be the third guy. They didn't give a restricted offer to Supernall, so he's gone. Fasano signed in Miami for a contract that'll last till he's almost 40. Mm-hmm. I would take Bennett, and if they take him, then they don't have to worry about taking the tight end earlier in the draft.
Well, now that Fasano found the damn fountain of youth in Miami that he's been sipping on for all these years, he's just going to get better. So, all right, last one. Combined playoff appearances for the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars. 0.5 over or under. I think the opinion should be the under. Do any teams beside the Titans make a playoff appearance after the nonsense you've seen the past day? Ben, let's hear you first. He's stunned. Ben was floored. He was floored by the thought of one of those three teams making it. So, Brandon, do any of them in the AFC have in one playoff game this year?
Oh no, hell no. Yeah, I'll go back to mine. I'll run with that. No, we're gonna win this division without a doubt.
I'm with that. It's gonna be us and nobody else.
0 playoff games for any other team in the AFC South. They do all of this moving. The Schefter cam is focused on the Texans for 2 hours. None of this matters.
Yeah, I'll tell you the final standings. It'll be us at the top, 11-5, followed by the Colts at 8-8, the Texans 7-9, and the Jags will be 5-11 in perpetuality.
Benjamin, would you like to go on the under on the Jags 5 wins? I would love to put the Jags at 4.5 wins. Benjamin, please take the under.
No, I think the Jags jump up to probably 6 wins, especially if they add a dynamic running back over the course of the draft. I mean, I think the Colts are going to keep imploding, and Houston, man, I just can't believe that anybody around their franchise feels good about anything that's going on. So yeah, under. For over on Jacksonville, under on everybody else. I think actually the Jacksonville Jaguars will have more wins, or have less wins than Jim Irsay will have days in rehab next year.
We should have started that as that's your RPO right there.
All right, let's end it on that. One day at a time, Mr. Irsay. Take it one day at a time.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful.